Alright, I forgot about my tablet. This is sort of a weird looking angle, but I can keep talking while I finish seasoning up these ribs. And so then what we're going to do is we have flour, and we're just going to dredge. So you're just going to take your rib, dredge it in flour, which is a fancy way of saying just roll it around until it's coated in flour. So we're going to do this to all of these ribs. How many ribs? I don't know. That's going to depend on your family. I generally plan on 2 to 3 per person, depending on the size. If they're really, really big ribs, then somebody might get 2, but probably going to be 3. And some of these that came out more like fingerlings, somebody might get 4. But there's going to be plenty of food. So don't worry about that. I'm going to finish dredging these up, and I'll see you back in a minute. All right, everybody, I'm back. Our pan's hot. I have our bacon into the pan. And you don't want this too hot because we want to try to get all of the fat out of this bacon. So we don't want the meat of the bacon to start to burn before we get the fat to liquefy and come out, because that's part of what's going to make our ribs so tasty, is that flour that we dredged is going to soak up just a little bit of this bacon flavor, and it's going to make them oh so tasty. Alright, everybody, I have rendered the fat out of the bacon, and here's our bacon. Nice, crispy. We want it good and crispy. And then we have our fat. Our bacon fat. And so now we're going to add our olive oil. It's about 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to turn up the heat. You want this on a pretty high setting. Whatever your pan and stove combination works. For these pans, they say to never turn them up to high because they have copper in the bottom and transfer heat really well, but you want this to be hot so that when we put these short ribs in, they sear. We're not going to cook them all the way through at this point. We just want to get a little crispiness on the outside. So we're going to get our pan super duper hot. And hold on. Okay, so we're back again. As you can see, we're hot. There's actually smoke coming off of there. I may set off the smoke alarm here in a minute, but hot pan, hot oil. And you can see on the bottom where we're starting to get dark with the bacon, and we're just starting to build our flavor profile with the stuff on the bottom of the pan. So we're going to go just like this, about 45 seconds to a minute on each side. So you just want to, God, look at that. Doesn't that already look good? It's still raw, but I know what it's going to taste like. All right, I'll be back after these are all seared off. Okay, the first batch is just here. It's going to take 2 batches to get them all seared. So you can see here, it's just a crust. That's all we've done. These are still very raw in the middle. We have the second batch going. And then after the second batch comes out, what we're going to do is we're going to go our mirepoix, which is got about 2 cups of onions, 1.5 cups of celery, about 1.5 cups of carrot, and it's all diced up, fairly small. And then our garlic with our little bit of red pepper flake. That's maybe about 25 or 30 flakes. It is not very much red pepper. It's going to add just a little bit of warmth on the back of your palate once this dish is done. And then tomato. After the vegetables start to soften a little bit, we're going to put in the tomato, and then we will deglaze the pan. Deglazing is one of those terms that I always thought was super fancy. It's just kitchen jargon. Everybody has jargon. We have jargon in our class. Not everyone knows what a cascading style sheet is, or a HTML or embedded video or whatever. This is just cooking jargon. I'll be back when we're ready for that. Bye. Alright, as you can see, we've got a pile of short rib here. So then with our pan still super hot like this, in goes our veggies. Now I use the paper plate to carry the dredged ribs over here, but this is a good ceramic. Really? Haha, the fire alarm. Alright, you can see this dark stuff. That's the yum-yums. We're going to get that up in a bit. But our vegetables are kind of starting to soften up. So here comes our garlic. Yeah, our garlic and our red pepper flake. That's about, 2 tablespoons or so of minced garlic. And like I said, about 25 or so red pepper flakes. We're just going to keep sauteing for a minute. Okay, for your braising liquid, I always recommend using something you would drink with dinner. Red wine is certainly appropriate with beef. You could use white wine if you like, just as long as it's dry. Don't pick a sweet white wine for this. We're getting plenty of sweetness out of the carrots, tomatoes, and onions. We don't need to add any with wine. I'm going to use beer. I drink beer. If you don't drink, you could certainly use beef broth here. You could use chicken broth. You could use plain water. Just if you use water, remember to season it, because that way it'll taste good. So we've got this on high heat, and this kind of steams this black stuff up off the bottom. So I'll try to see all the steam. So what we're looking for here is about 2 cups of liquid. There's 12 ounces in a beer. So we're going to go about 4 more ounces, and then cheers. Now you can see how dark that liquid's getting, and most of that black stuff, the yum-yums, are off of the bottom. So that's good. It's exactly what we want. That way this broth that we're building is going to taste like onions, carrots, celery, bacon. It's going to taste really good. So now we got that done. I'm going to turn that up so it'll boil. The key to having any kind of a gravy, anything that you want to be thick, is it has to boil. It will never achieve its full thickness potential till it boils. We had flour on our ribs. So that means we're going to get a little bit of thickness out of this once we're done. We're going to get it being blocked by the steam. Okay, so now we're boiling our tomatoes. I'm using fresh tomatoes today because I'm out of tomato paste, and I forgot when I was at the store buying the short ribs. I happen to have a few fresh tomatoes. You could use canned diced tomatoes if you like. You could certainly use tomato paste. That was 2 cups of diced tomatoes that I peeled. I don't mind the seeds, so I let the seeds in. If you use tomato paste, it'll be a little thicker when it's done. But either way, it's going to be good, whatever you like. If you use tomato paste, use one of the smaller cans, like the 6.5 or 8 ounce can of tomato paste. Alright, I'm going to stir this for a while and I'll be back. Alright, I have here about 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. You could certainly use fresh herbs. I would usually use fresh herbs, but my grocery store didn't have any. I'm sure it's probably related to COVID-19 because they usually have fresh herbs. And I'm not crazy. I'm not going to Walmart just for a thing of rosemary. I might lose my sanity. What little of it remains. So our short ribs are going back into the pan. They would all fit now. They just wouldn't all fit on the bottom to sear earlier. That's why we had to do 2 batches. So that's what it looks like. And we are going to add our beef broth now. About 2 cups of beef broth. Again, you can certainly use chicken broth. If you're out of beef broth, you do not want to add more alcohol here. I guess unless you had absolutely no choice. You could use just plain water. Just season it with a little salt. And then any of the bacon bits that you haven't eaten, while all the rest of this is going on, back. Put them back in there. Lid. Cover your pan with the lid. Stove off. Into the oven. Remember I said to preheat the oven to 350. There we go, we're in the oven. And now I'm going to take a long break from recording because this takes about 3 hours in the oven. So I'll see you in 3 hours with some of the most tender, beautiful meat that you have ever seen. Alright everybody, we're back. It's been 3 hours for me. Probably just a couple minutes for you. And here we go. Just look at that. That's what it looks like when it's done. Let's pull one of these out. And you can see it just falls apart. See that? Absolutely perfect, beautiful, tender. And tasty and very hot. Alright. Well, I'm going to make a plate and I'll show you what it looks like when we serve. Be right back. Alright, so here it is. I just serve it simply over mashed potatoes with whatever kind of vegetable you like on the side and a healthy, generous portion of that braising liquid served over the top like gravy. I hope y'all enjoy this recipe and have a nice day.